Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. I see a very good number of participants to this first webinar organized by the European School of Industrial Engineering and Management. It's a Italian foundation funded by the Italian government. I'm very happy to start with this event for several reasons. First of all, for our Professor Sethi, an outstanding researcher in the field of operations management, industrial engineering and management. I'm very happy to introduce you Professor Sethi. He's Professor of Operation Management and Director of the Center for Intelligent Supply Networks at the Universities of Texas at Dallas. He has written 11 books and published over 400 research papers in manufacturing and operation management, finance and economics, marketing and optimization theory. Professor Sethi is an outstanding scholar, worldwide recognized in this field. And today he will tell us about a very interesting subject: building and evolving an operation management department, research, doctoral training, and emerging challenges. In few words, which strategy and factors beyond the trajectory that launched from a doctoral program, a recruiting world-class faculty to design a competitive PhD curriculum. So this is why the topic is of great interest both for professors involved in the field of industrial engineering and management and PhD students. From my side, it's all. Thank you, Professor Sethi, for coming. And now I leave the floor to colleague Professor Tommaso Portaluri.
Hi, thank you very much. First of all, I'm not a professor, but thanks. I'm with Bari, which is a Swiss-based company that is producing drones for inventory automation in warehouses. Bari is to be responsible for grants, academic relations, and sustainability. And this is how I met Professor Sethi. And I'm very happy here that we're also by the European School of Industrial Engineering and Management for this first webinar, as part of a collaboration that we also started with Professor Sethi and a project specifically on skill transfer between industry and academia, led by the University of Parma. I think this first seminar from the school really aligns with the work that we've been doing. So I'm very happy that we could welcome Professor Sethi to Puglia, and I'm very much looking forward to how the UT Dallas departments progress over the years and the anecdotes and the strategies that's made possible to reach the level at which it is today. So please, Slash.
I can share the presentation. Can I share the presentation? First of all, let me begin by thanking the professors here and Tommaso as well, and the foundation to organize this seminar. It is my first time in Puglia and also first time in Bari, although I've been to Italy maybe at least 10 times, but not this part of the world. I have been to Sicily though. So it is a great pleasure to be here. And let me go to before this part. If you look at this chart is a business school ranking. the business ranking. I'll talk to you more about it later. But the orange line is the line for University of Texas at Dallas. When I arrived here, is the arrow showing here? Yeah. So when I arrived here in 1997, the school had no PhD program. It was not ranked at all. I mean, it was not even 100. It was like 200 or something. It was a party school taught by outside instructors who teach for $5,000 or $6,000 a course. There were very few faculty members altogether in the business school. Business school was only like 35 faculty members altogether. And so this is where it began. And so as you can see the chart after I got there, we are now, in particular rank, we are like number 2 or 3, something like that in the world. So it was when you come here, you don't know how to do this. You know, it's all, but whatever happened. And I would call it a miracle, but it happened. And then I wrote an article about how and why it happened. And that article is published in a top journal in production operations management. And a larger article is in SSRN. So part of my talk would be based on that. So let me go back to the beginning. So the agenda is I'm going to talk about how the business schools get ranked in terms of research. And we have a ranking based on business school can rank based on number of journals. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that when we get there. So that's and also the OM operations management, which I'm part of it, also has another ranking based on the top OM journals. Then I talked to you about strategy of how this all happened and factors leading to growth. What were the various factors, internal and external? And the published article don't have the anecdotes, but when you present the paper, anecdotes are always good to have. So I'm going to give you some anecdotes about how this happened. And now that the new world is coming in with AI, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about AI in OM curriculum. Notice that the center I'm a director of was named Artificial Intelligent Networks, Intelligent Supply Networks. So it was not like that. This is new to us, but now that with the AI coming into almost every part of life, one has to take into account of this. Okay. So let me see how it all began. I was a very happy full professor in the University of Toronto in Canada. I had a nice corner office. I had a full-time secretary and all of that. And I was approached by the dean of the University of Texas at Dallas, who tried to recruit me. And I was quite reluctant to move because Toronto is a nice city. Toronto is almost like a European city, and Dallas is almost as opposite to European as possible. It's like a hick city. So I was wondering, how to go there. The food will be terrible, all of that. So it took me 9 months to finally decide. And I think one of the things that finally made me move there was the dean said, okay, a lot of papers. Maybe it's it's good time for you to build something. And I said, that sounds like a good thing. So I decided that I moved. So I moved that in 1997. I moved from Toronto. I was in Toronto for 24 years. I built a PhD program as well in Toronto because when we went to Toronto, there was no PhD program in operations management there. So I had some skill of doing something. But University of Toronto in Canada, it's mostly focused on research. We used to get research grants from different agencies, and it was a nice job. I must say I was a chair professor there, but I moved. And I moved as a chair professor in 1997. It's called Ashman Smith Professor. And we envisioned the growth of the business school, and building the OM area was a challenge. So that was kind of what it was. There were only one professor in OM and two in OR and one in IS. That was it. That was the department of OM when I moved there. The school was primarily an evening school, and the teaching load was 4 courses, and no doctoral program in OM. So I was wine and dying to move there, but I never asked them, was there a PhD program there? I mean, I only found out after I moved there that actually they had no PhD program. So there was much to build, but given what we had to begin with, we could not believe in our wildest imagination that we would be what we are today. It was a total surprise. What has been achieved is not short of a miracle, and this article is a post-mortem of how we did this. Okay. So these were the people, OR people. One guy, Raymond Lutz, was interested more in opera. And when he retired, he became the manager of the Santa Fe Opera, which is considered to be in New Mexico. Anyway, so these are some of the people who were there. And the last guy is Dean. He is a PhD from Rochester in operations research. And that is a good thing, because most of the time the deans are either accounting people or finance people. I've never seen many places where the dean comes from operations research. So it was a good thing for me because I can talk to him. I can connect with him. Okay, so that was kind of thing. His PhD was from the University of Rochester. And I must also say that it's very important. You will see that the dean role is very important in building what we did. It's very important. And it turns out that I haven't seen many deans like this. This dean came in 1996. He's still the dean. How many schools do you know where the dean has lasted for 30 years? Not many. In fact, he's a Guinness Book of Record, as far as I can think of it. And the University of Texas at Dallas tried to hire a dean. I came up for 1997. He tried to hire a dean before I came, and they were not successful. Some people said the salary was too low. Some people were considered maybe old. And anyway, there were some good people I know who were invited to become a dean there, and they didn't make it. Eventually, they found this professor sitting in Ohio State, and they asked him if he would like to be a dean, and he had never been a dean before. And he agreed to the dean, and I must give you, he did not negotiate his salary. He said, if I want to join as a dean, give me some money to build the school. So gave him some money to build the school. He came in 1996, and he took a year to figure out what he wants to do. And in 1997, he hired 3 senior people to help him do the job. One of those guys are me. So there were 3 people. So anyway, that's a little bit of a story of 1997. And now let's go to the ranking. The business schools get ranked by papers in journals, research papers in journals. As you can see, there is a NYU Stern, Chicago Booth, INSEAD, there's Harvard, there's UT Dallas, that's orange, it's our color, and there's Stanford, and there is Wharton. So you can see that Wharton was always #1 in the business school ranking. And other schools are, going from whatever. And so you can see the growth of UT Dallas that is starting from 1997 all the way to here. So this is the beginning of the story. This is the business school ranking. This is not the OM ranking. So in terms of ranking, so this is a research score. And the research score, if you see, is so the ranking is based on number of papers you publish in journals. There are selected list of journals. There are two kinds of ranking that we go by. One is called the UT Dallas Business School ranking. It was started by our university, and it is based on 24 top journals in business school. There are finance journals, marketing journals, accounting journals, OM journals. 5 of them are OM journals. OM and OR journals, and the remaining are accounting, finance. But you can interactively select the journals and get a ranking. You can select 1 journal or 5 journal or 10 journal, and you can select a ranking. The ranking is based on number of papers published by the faculty. If the paper is published by 3 people, 2 people are from different faculty, 1 is from UTD, then UTD gets one third part of that ranking. So this is how the ranking. And then there's a score. I mean, there's a score and then there's a ranking. So if you see the ranking, they're all bunched up here, some of the top schools. But if you see the score, you can see that Wharton is quite far up there. So it will take quite a while for people to go from here to there to get number one in terms of score. Okay, so this is it. But you can see also UT Dallas is now getting is the second largest score. That's why we got the second. So here you see 1 and 2 are very close by, but here you see 1 and 2 are quite far. So this is something I want to mention to you because in OM, the tides is turned another way. So we are the top. So then we go to, because I published this article, it would be not of, people will complain that you have a UT Dallas ranking and maybe UT Dallas ranking favors you. So there is a Financial Times ranking as well. This is based on 50 journals. So I decided to also do a Financial Times ranking just to show the data are not always available. There's some data missing, but as you can see, the orange line is going from here all the way up to there. So you can see that the Financial Times ranking is also favors us in some sense. Now get to the OM. So UT Dallas 24 journals includes 5 journals in OM. These journals are Production Operations Management, Journal of Operations Management, Management Science, Operations Research, and Journal of Operations Management. So those are the 5 journals. MSOM, Manufacturing Services, and so based on 5 journals, you can just select the journals, and it's an interactive ranking, so you can find out the ranking of the schools. So you can see where we were. I didn't go to 1996 because we don't have a ranking anymore. But so now you can see we are number 1 in the OM journals ranking in the world, same schools. And you see Wharton is now number 2. That doesn't mean we are competing with Wharton and Stanford in many other areas because these are legacy schools. They have so much money. There is almost no, right now there's no scenario in which we will exceed Stanford and MIT and Harvard in many ways because those are very, very established schools. And that also, I'll talk to you about recruiting when that happens, how we compete with these universities. But at least in research, in terms of sheer publications, we are now number 1. And I think somewhere along the line, we were like 212 or something, I don't remember. But by the time I came here, and there were 3 people that were hired, one of them was an accounting professor, an IS professor. He had some number of publications, and we had some. So some of the papers that we had, they got counted towards UT Dallas because they came after I joined them. And even our journals, our publications already put us at pretty high ranking at that time. So that time, not everybody was publishing. So we already came from somewhere to here. And then we started a steady march all the way to number 1. So this is important to see. Now you look at the OM score. You see where we are? Where Wharton and these guys are? We could sleep for a year and still be ranked number one in OM. So we now know that what we have done was, I believe, is quite impressive. So then the question is how it happened. And so this is much of the talk about what's going on. These are a number of OM journal publications by JSOM, that's my school, but I don't think I want to talk about it. And then we go to strategy. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's go to, so number one, building an MBA program like Harvard and Stanford when I moved there in 1997 is impossible. They have 700 students, they're highly ranked. We were starting with an MBA with maybe 50, 40 students. But our dean and we, three of us, decided that the only way we can do something is to be ranked in research. And how do you rank in research? You hire like mad. You hire really good people who will do research, and then that research will be counted as part of the ranking. So it is not like MBA ranking, which is done by a survey, by deans and this and that. It is an objective ranking. It is based on the sheer number of publications. Nobody can argue. People argue about which journals are in the ranking, but the 24 journals in business school ranking are considered to be essentially the top journals. Now, people can say, okay, why not this journal there? But we can only put so many journals. You cannot have 100 journals in the ranking. And so it's indisputable that these journals are, by and large, all universities recognize to be the top journals. You have a list of journals. I don't want to get into it right now. But any top journals, like a Journal of Finance in finance and marketing science and Journal of Marketing Research, these are all part of the school. So how to build the research reputation? So our idea was, let's build the research reputation first, and then other things will follow, hopefully. You know, and it has. We have now been ranked quite high in MBA programs, but it took a lot of time for us to build the research reputation. So that's number one. Number two, well, there was no PhD program in OM. And there is no way a school can go anywhere in research without a PhD program. Absolutely no way. And you have to, so recruiting good PhD students is difficult in the beginning. If you start a new program, it's not so easy to get good students right away. That's number one. Secondly, if you start a program and there are not enough PhD students, how do you teach certain courses to these students? The class may have only 3 students, 2 students. You cannot launch courses. The university will complain about teaching courses for 2 students and paying them full. And so we had to start some strategy. And also, when you hire people, they will ask you about PhD program. If you don't have a PhD program, you are not going to hire good people. It's simply not possible because people need support, PhD, work with PhD students. It is part of the research kind of thing. So hiring is not so easy without a PhD program. So the first thing I did was I started the PhD program right away in 1997. I said, okay, we started, and then we'll see what happens. We had a difficult time in recruiting students in the beginning, but in the end, we are now considered one of the largest PhD programs in the country. We, in fact, OM program takes in about 3 to 5 students every year. So given that they stay 5, 6 years at our school, we have about 30 students all the time in OM. But the whole school has about 150 PhD students all the time because we have a PhD program in marketing, finance, accounting, all of that. So it is one of the largest PhD programs in the world right now. So that's from the zero beginning to having that kind of program is exactly something that we are proud of. And what did we do for critical mass? Well, what we try to do is have some, I don't know whether this is in there somewhere. Yeah, hopefully there's more details in there. We were very busy yesterday. So I did not have a chance to look at the slides just before coming here. So I just kind of have to see. Then the initial hires, so they were difficult. And we needed connections. And I had a lot of connections. I'm fairly well known in my community. And so it was helpful for us to find good OM faculty and try to attract them in some way. It's difficult, but we were able to do somewhat in the beginning. But now we don't have the problem. Now people want to come. People want to join us because we have a very well-known program. And one of the things that I found out when I was hiring, we were 4-course teaching load. Now, none of the top schools, Stanford, MIT, name it, Michigan, Chicago, they all have a 3-course teaching load. And the chair professor teaches 2.5. It's kind of a standard in the United States. And so I went to the dean and I said, there is no way you are hiring people because everybody we try to hire, they say, what is the course load? I said, it's 4. Oh, no, the other offer we got is 3. So there is absolutely no way you can build a school where your teaching load is higher than other schools. Now, by the way, I do not know much about the Italian system. So whatever I say, some of them may be applicable to you, some of them may not be applicable to you. But since I don't know what is applicable to you, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, and you decide which one is applicable to you. Like, for example, maybe in Italy, the course load is standard throughout the country. So there is no way to deal with that. But in the United States, you can find schools with 5 teaching course loaded, 4, 3. You can do all of that in the United States. Everything is market-based. There's no that much government input into what we pay to the people, what we do with them. It's something that we do. So 4 to 3 was done almost instantly because we were not able to hire. I started hiring and nobody wanted to come. And so we changed it to 3. And as soon as we changed to 3, 2 things open. First of all, we can hire more people. Secondly, we need 1/3 more faculty because the same courses now are taught by. So that was another thing that came as part of the strategy number 4. Okay. So Frank Bass was a marketing guru. He's well known for something called Bass Model in Marketing. He was a professor there. And he was the chair of the PhD committee. And I was a member of the committee. And we wanted to find out what to do with. So we created, because we did not have a critical mass of students to begin with, we designed a set of courses. We call them basic core courses and secondary core courses. The basic core courses have to be taken by every area, marketing, finance, everybody, because we need a critical mass. So PhD from every area will take these foundational courses, so that would be core courses. And then we have a secondary core courses where you have to say, let's say 2 out of 4 or 2 out of 3 courses. You don't have to take all of them, but you have to take some out of the other. So that way you can choose some selection as to, like econometrics, for example, maybe chosen by marketing people, but not by OM people. It's one of those things so that we can do them. And we also had other departments in the university to collaborate with them. So statistics courses can be taught in the statistics department. We can send our students there. So this is kind of the idea to do the critical mass problem that we try to solve. So here is the list of courses. The basic core courses is probability models and operations research, or probability and statistics 1 in the statistics department. So you can take a course that we teach or go there. And then probability and statistics 2, price theory, introduction to economics, My course in optimal control theory was a core course because Frank Bass insisted that that should be a core course, and applied programming languages. A secondary course was game theory and operations research, advanced econometrics, stochastic models, and optimization methods. So you can take two out of 4 courses. So all 5 you have to be taking, all 6, and then 2 out of this. So this is how we created critical mass. How about the recruiting? Well, we couldn't find good students in the beginning. In fact, 1 or 2 students, we had to send them after when they came, and then we said, oh, no, you're no good. So we cannot say you're no good, but we say you're not going to make it. And so we let them go after 1 year. But so what happened was we decided to do the following. This is one of our first PhD students. He is now the editor of he's now just became the editor of Production Operations Management, which is one of the top journals in the field. And he was a professor at Texas A&M before, and now he's professor at Temple University in Philadelphia. And he's considered to be a very big name in the field. So remember, they had a hiring problem. So I have some former postdocs who were available, and I tried to recruit them. So Chelia Shitkan-Raja, who's the chair professor in Texas A&M, was being recruited from Toronto. So I said, why don't you come and move? And that was easy part because Toronto's salaries were lower than American salaries. So, and Toronto taxes were higher than American taxes. So if you want to move from Canada to US, and if money is important to you, and to some people it is, and so we hired Chelia Shitkan-Raja, and he had 2 PhD students in Toronto, and I said, please bring them along. So the first 2 PhD students that actually we graduated were actually came with other people. So Subodha graduated PhD in 2003, so he became in 97, 98, I think. In 2003, he graduated. I hired some people after 1 year I was there. And he became assistant professor, moved to Texas A&M. Currently, he's a distinguished chair in Temple University. He's a founding director of the Center of Business Analytics. And he's now a big name in AI as well. And he's the president of the Production Operations Management Society in 2024, and now recently became a co-editor of POM. He was my student as well. So I can just give you. So we've done that 1 and 2, and that's the number 3. And so we hired, okay, so I can tell you, Shitkan-Raja, my former postdoc. Hominian was my former PhD student. He was a professor in the Chinese University of Hong Kong at the time. So I asked him to come to UTD, and he moved. But he went back to Hong Kong. He became a dean subsequently at the Sethi School of Business for 5 to 10 years. I think 10 years he was a dean there. And he then retired as a dean. And now he is running a big fintech company in Hong Kong, millions of dollars coming from the government. It's a fintech company that's run half by the university and other. So the university owns the company in some say, and Hominian is still a professor there, but half his job is to run the fintech company, and the other half is the university professor. So that's kind of we recruit them. And then there are people here that we recruited from different schools. Metin came. Okay, another thing. Industrial engineering, which is what your department is, and I'm also I have a lot of training in industrial engineering. My undergraduate degree major was industrial engineering. I was a mechanical engineering student, but my major was industrial engineering. So we recruited people from Cornell. Cornell has a good industrial engineering program. And the industrial engineering salaries are a lot lower than business school salaries. So it is for a business school, they like to recruit business school PhDs because business school PhDs know courses in finance and marketing, and whereas the IE department sometimes do not have those courses. But we were able to, we had to get good people who can do good research And so Martin was one of them that we hired. He's now the head of the department of OM. So we hired him. We hired Milind Devande. He's a very, very sharp guy. And he was recommended by, so I was a Carnegie Mellon PhD student. One of the big professor was Egan Ballas in integer programming. And I asked Milind to move. And Milind goes back to his professor and he says, Egan Ballas, he says, oh, Professor Ballas, the UTD is not even recognized by ATGSB or GMAT, whatever the ranking is, ASCSB. So Egan Ballas says, just go there, Suresh will take care of you. And he joined us. And he became the head of the department. He was a very productive man. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, he died of heart attack. We are naming a conference in his honor. The next conference in OM. And we had Kathy Stex. She was associate professor at Michigan. She's a chair professor right now. Yeah, okay. So we can see recommended by Egan Ballas. Within days of interview in 2000, Dean offered a position on phone and he accepted immediately. Highly productive research and great hire, became the PhD coordinator on home area. Sethi passed away in 2024. Okay. So after these, we did something that I don't think any business school ever does. So here's a man. He's one of the most distinguished person you can find. He's a top guy in stochastic control. He was a professor at University of Paris. He was okay, so let me continue. What is stochastic control? His co-authored paper. So I had co-authored a paper in 1980. I invited him to Toronto. INRIA. He was the director of INRIA, which has many 5,000 researchers, and he was the director of that president. Then he became president of the European Space Agency. He's a fellow of the French Academy of Science, and he's a fellow of a German Academy or something. So there's a lot of things. But he's a mathematician. And I think there's more story about him later, so maybe we'll talk about that later. But he retired in France in 2003 because he became 65 or whatever at the time. He's now 85. He's still a professor at our school. And he's still publishing more than most people. He's just one of those guys that lives with publishing papers and doing things. And so I'm told that this is something not possible in Italy. But he calls me and he says, I'm a grandfather. I retired in France. I need new challenges. Since I had worked with him, published some work with him, I met him in 1973 in a conference in Tel Aviv. So I had some connections. So I told him I will try to do something. So I go to the math department at UTD. And so the math dean says, oh, we can hire him, but status appointment. You know what a status appointment is? No money, but we can list him. I said to my head, oh, no. I need money. I need half the salary. If you want half of him, I need half the salary. I didn't tell him that. And then I think it's nice to say it, but it may not happen in Italy. But we were having a guest speaker who was a president of Informs at one time and another. And so I invited my dean. I also go to dinner with him. And during this restaurant, I asked the dean, he said, I said, the math department is dragging its feet. So my dean said, do you want him full-time in our school? I said, yes, full-time in our school. He says he's hired. That's it. I mean, he will take care of the university rules and stuff. And I at the end of the dinner, I told him that you're hired. Please discuss your salary with my dean. And he gave him a low salary because he's a math guy. So he said, okay, math guys, we don't have to give him high salary. Then he find out that this is one of the most productive guys in our schools. So he's trying to increase his salary every year. He's a chair professor now. But that's how it was. So just want to tell you how. And then because he's such a big guy, I set up a center for him before he moved in. I set up an international center of risk condition analysis because this guy is a top stochastic guy. So he is now the director of the center. And he has published enormous amount of papers in top journals with me and other faculty member. And then, but we also published journals, articles in journals that have nothing to do with business school. But as long as he is more productive in our field, we don't care if he wants to publish in other places. So that's my something that he is a very top candidate. Also, we moved him from NYU, and it turns out that I learned something that I will tell you how it helped. He deserved a tenure, but we did not give him a tenure professor right away. We said, you come here, 1 year later, we'll put you up for tenure. So NYU people, Mike Pinedo is a big professor there. He called me and he says, Suresh, you are cheating us. I said, why? I said that you didn't give him a tenure professor. I said, how is that? He said, if I gave him a tenure professor, he will go to NYU dean and say, you did give him a tenure, can we give him a tenure? But if I don't give him a tenure, he cannot go to his dean. So in fact, we may have got him. Otherwise, the NYU may have said, okay, you're going there, we'll give you the salary, we'll give you a tenure, why don't you stay there? We don't know about that, but he might have still moved. So anyway, so it's interesting to know sometimes something like that. She's a top person, one of the top person in behavioral OM. We wanted, it's not something, it would be good to have because university is a portfolio. You need different areas, different people, different expertise. So one day, Alina Katok from University of Pennsylvania State calls me and said that she's not being treated that well at her school. Her salary is not that high. If I would be able to move her to UTD. So I go to my dean with her CV. I said, hey, let's try to get her. So we got her a chair professor. And she has a husband who's very well known, Gary Bolton, and he's a game theorist. And they said, shall we get her husband? I said, well, yeah, why not? So we tried to get a husband, but one of our faculty members said that it's not a good idea to have a husband and wife in the same department. So he would like him to go to the economics department because the other guy is also economics. So the economics head of the department came to me and said, we're getting Gary Bolton. He's a very nice guy. We like to have him, but we don't want to cannibalize our position that we have. I said, no, you're getting a freebie. Just get it. So they were very happy. But I told him that you get a freebie, but he has to teach a game theory course in our school, in our department. So which is kind of an arrangement. So it's all that happened. So he's with us. Another anecdote I give you is you have to have a very good connection with the dean. And you have to be very fast on your feet because top guys get more than one offer. So here's a guy who's now becoming a full professor this year, a very, very bright young guy. He works on contracts and very, very sharp mind. Interviewed him, and so the way we interview people is we bring them on, let's say, Thursday. We take them out to dinner. And then on Friday, they meet half an hour with every faculty, half an hour in their offices. And then we take them to lunch. And then after lunch, there's a seminar. And after seminar, they meet again people. Then somebody take them out to dinner. Sometimes they stay one more day, sometimes not. So all of this is part of the interview process. So the end of this Friday, he comes to my office. And before he goes to dinner, he said, hey, he has an offer, exploding offer that dies in 2 days. I want to hire this guy. So I go to the dean's office next day and I said, pick up your phone and please, I gave him an offer. So they gave him an offer. He accepted the offer and the other school. So if he cannot do that, he has no choice because so when you are in a job market and you have offer which you may not like, but you have no other offer, you have to make a decision to let it go. Then you may not have any offer after that, or you have accepted. So he had only one offer, and this is not the ideal school for him, but he would go there. It's University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which is not a bad school. It's a pretty good school, but they lost him and we got him. So this is what I mean by being connected to the dean, and the dean able to push things to the university level. So his connection with the university, with the provost office, is his problem, not my problem. But I go to my dean, and he makes things easy for me. So that is important. Okay. So these were some anecdotes. So here are some of the factors that I call leadership and full support of the dean. You have to be on fast feet. I'm like, I can call him at midnight and say, hey, we are losing this guy, do something. So it is one of those relationships. So it's important to have it. And then my leadership and OM seminar. So when I moved there, I told him that this school is a sleepy school and we need to do something. We need to have people come to look at us. So I started a seminar. So I said, I'm going to have a seminar and bring all the top guys to speak. So he said, okay, fine. We'll give you some budget for the seminar. I never know what the budget was because I have never exceeded whatever the budget was. And I've given invitations to, well, please let me know if the time is, yeah. So I ran this seminar, and we, because I thought at that time we're not such a big school, so I did the seminar every other week so that I can stretch it for the whole year. So the other thing I asked the dean is that I was a very light loaded teaching load in Toronto because my salary was low compared to US. A lot of US people were interested in me moving to the US. But I told my dean I don't want to move, but what you can do. If you cannot give me the salary, give me a lower teaching load. That's kind of how it happened. So I told the dean that the seminar that I'm doing has to be 3 credits. So that's a 3-credit seminar. Everybody has to take it as a course. And so that we bring all the prima donnas from US and abroad, and they start knowing what's going on. We give competitive salaries to the faculty. That means our salary is completely competitive. And that becomes more than competitive because Dallas cost of living is much lower than Boston.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Okay, and of course, so let's get there. Robert's PhD program is important, and we started that, as I mentioned. Competitive salary is important, otherwise we're not going to hire people. And we have so right now, OM salaries of directly from PhD to assistant professorship, we are giving them 9 months salary of about $200,000. So that's 9 months. And we give them 2 more summer months for 5 years. So that would make it almost $240,000 salary for the first 5 years. After that, we may not guarantee 2 months salary. We may give you 1 month, we may give you 0, depending on your research. And we give you a certain amount of research money. We call it M fund. We give them maybe anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000, $15,000 maybe is the average, where you can go to conferences and travel, whatever. So that's an amount of money that we give you for travel support. Although in the beginning year, I don't know now, because there is a belt tightening going on right now in the United States universities. Anyway, we have less students coming from different parts of the countries. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that right now, in old times, if you went to a conference and you ran out of M fund, you would go to the dean and say, I go to this conference, and he will probably likely to give you more money. Now, maybe not so. Okay, but for all these years, it was possible. Competitive teaching load, apparently important. We did a 3 course, and the collegial environment in the sense that we are not very political rivalry and stuff like that within the school. So it is good. So these are some of the factors. I think I can talk more about that, but that's not necessary. I already talked about it. There are also other parts which are important, and Texas has a low cost of living. We have no state and city taxes. We have a first-class airport with the hub of American Airlines, with direct flights to many cities worldwide. Mild weather, which is you have better weather than we do. Tremendous economic growth locally. So that goes both ways. There was a growth locally. We were a telecom corridor of the United States. And then the university became bigger. So the university was 7,000 students in 1997. The total university is 30,000 now. And business school had total faculty of 35. We have now more than 150. The OM department, I already told you, had 3 or 4 faculty members. Now we have 28 tenure track faculty members in OM, and another 16 non-tenure track who do a heavy duty teaching. This is also important. Later on, I'll mention to you, you need people who can teach a lot more courses because they don't do research, so that the people who do research don't have to teach that many courses. Otherwise, if you ask everybody to teach the same amount of courses, then there is not much to do. Research time, there's no time to research, and you suffer on that front. So it's very important to. My nephew is an adjunct professor at a university. His salary is probably half the salary of the other faculty, and he teaches like 8 courses, 6 courses during the year, 2 courses in the summer, 8 courses, whereas most of us teach 2.5 courses. So that it is important, and he's happy because he doesn't do research. He's happy to do what he wants to do, and he may even be a better teacher than I am in many cases. So, okay, so that's in terms of airport, because we had a lot of students come from China, Turkey, Iran. It's nice to have an airport that you can go direct flight to these places. The other thing is that I would say that whatever we did could not be accomplished in something like Topeka, Kansas. I mean, Dallas is not Topeka, Kansas, or somewhere in small town in other states in the country. So that's that. The placement stories. Okay, so here's another thing that is important. And the reason I put her this is because she's now a chair professor at Purdue. She's a Palm Fellow. She's a member of several editorial boards. She graduated under me in 2006. And I do want to mention that when we tried to place her, she applied to University of Rochester. University of Rochester was one of the top schools at the time. And one of the committee chair, Avi Seidman, is a well-known guy, and I knew him. And he told me that the committee has recommended to give offer to Annabelle to the dean. And offer is not coming. For days go by, no offer is coming. So I called this guy. He said, well, the dean says he's not going to make any offer until all are interviewed. All interviews are finished. And I learned a lesson out of that, because in her case, she had an offer from Oregon. She didn't want to go to Oregon. And so that was the only offer she had. She had to decide whether to take that offer or not, or I can keep her as a postdoc for a while, for a year. Anyway, I called UT Austin. I said, UT Austin, I told exactly what I'm telling you. UT Austin made an offer to her. She accepted right away. UT Austin is one of the top schools in the country. So she accepted that offer. What I learned out of this is that when I have one position, I interview 10 or 11 people. I don't interview 2 or 3 people. I have universities that I know has a budget for 3 interviews. And after 3 interviews, they make an offer. And if no one accepts the offer, they don't have any position that year. It's gone. So I interviewed like 10 or 11. And Sochiang was number 2. I still have 9 more to go. And I cannot wait for 9 more to go before making an offer. He'll go to Urbana-Champaign. So I make an offer. And then I go to the dean and I said, what do you want me to do? We had only one position. He said, so I said, I can tell everybody the position is filled. We will eat their expenses, airfare, everything. We don't have to worry about that. For me, it is recruiting budget. When you pay somebody $200,000, you cannot make a small recruiting budget. It's like buying a watermelon and you pay a little bit extra money to taste it. And then you buy a big watermelon. So you pay for that little money. So this is little money for that. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that I go to the dean and I said, this is what we can do. And the dean says, why don't you keep interviewing? And this is in most cases. And if you find a very important guy or person, candidate, he will try to figure out how to make an extra position for us. And most of the times, we just keep interviewing, and we actually found one more person. And Dean and I have a joke between us. He said, every time I do this, you always find somebody. So that's kind of how I take the situation, that you have to be fast on your feet in making an offer, and you have to be fast on your feet in recruiting other people. So it's both sides. So here is a list of faculty that I have. You see there are many areas represented here. There are machine learning people. If you look at the other people that we hired later, you will see them machine learning, algorithmic design, contract things, sustainability, healthcare. So these are some of the areas that are being represented at this point in time. So it's a very large group of program. Of course, Joanda is deceased. And these are the adjunct professors. They teach a lot and they get less salary. And so we have a lot of them, and they help us do the research. So this is kind of a strategy if you think about it. Okay. So let me stop here because we are going to a different thing as to what is going on now. But this is the story of what happened at UT Dallas in the last 24 years or 25 years. And the article is published in top journals. It's a short article that you are able to see. And the long article is in SSRN, and of course, to the slides. Any questions so far?
Not just a question. I just want to summarize for.
Sure, please.
Not that you provide us with very interesting, also personal stories of people coming from different parts of the US and also outside from the US. All of them, I think, having some common features. The willingness to face a challenge from the greenfield, let me say. The willingness to move. It is really common in the US to move both professors, moving of professors, and also moving from students. That this could be also a useful message for our PhD students. And of course, this is possible because you found there a lot of resources locally, as you said.
Sure.
My question is now, do you think that if you imagine to start that process today in the US, could it be still possible?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly, if you have all these factors in some way in your favor, yes, it is possible. But it is a lot of things coming together. Sometimes things are missing. And so in my view, it is possible if you have these kind of factors available. And this is not there may be some other thing that other school have that I don't have, or so yeah. But it is. I agree with you. It is a miracle because it requires so many things in and even the dean. Let me tell you a story, which is actually an important story. So the dean, so the university has something called zero-based budgeting. That means every department and every faculty of the university makes money. The university owns that money. Then they allocate the money to different faculty. That's called zero-based budgeting. I own everything and I give it to you. Our dean told the university that he wants X% of the money that we raise, business school. X can be negotiated, but it cannot be zero-based. The university did not want that. So we went to the dean, basically put him out in the market. He said, okay, if you don't give it to me, I will look for a position. And we went to the university president and provost, and we said, we want this dean. The senior professor went there. And so what the university did, it is an interesting story that only I know because I have a very deep connection with the dean. And the university gave him the salary. So he had an offer from Maryland, he had an offer from Champaign. They matched the salary. He thought that's all he wanted. And he was back there, I was asking for the X%. And now the salary, when I got hired, he told me that the deans get 12 months salary and professors get 9 months salary. So he said that my 9 months salary was higher than his 9 months salary prorated. But after he got this salary improvement during this time, he is now probably the highest member of the salary in our school. Maybe not in the university, but in our school. And so more recently, Duke University gave an offer for deanship. And the reason he did, he had its earlier salary, he might have moved to Duke. Duke is a very fine business school in the United States. So sometimes things happen, they have an effect sometime later that are kind of unknown effects that you would never predict. So, but the story that comes out of it is that this dean is not there for money. He wants to build a school. He wants to make his name as long as he gets the resources to build it. You don't see, I've seen dean that go from one place to another, have no loyalty of anywhere. And there are people like that too. So I do appreciate. And I do also mention that in Toronto, we had a businessman dean. And the businessman deans don't know how to run business schools. They run business school like businesses. That doesn't work. He will call me and say, Professor Sethi, come to my office. My own view is, if you want to see me, come to my office. I'm also prima donna. I'm not, so I don't like that. So I told this dean when I got hired at UTD, I said, you know what? I'm an informal guy. So if you want to see me, come to my office. I want to see you to come to your office. And then we were talking about this, and I said, let's do a better job. Why don't we meet every 2 weeks on lunch? You and I, that's it. He said, that's great. So we do that. So the first few months, he's paying for lunch. So I said, if you're paying for lunch, let's do it every week. And so that tradition continues. We meet every 2 weeks, even though I don't want any administrative position. Head of the department of my school, he will come to me and say, who would you like to be the head of the department? I said, okay, this guy or that guy. But I don't want to do any administration. But I see him every 2 weeks. We talk whatever we talk. There are important things to do with school business, we do. Otherwise, we just talk whatever. And my department knows that. They say, okay, Professor Sethi, you are meeting next week to him. We have this problem. So I discuss this stuff, this kind of thing. So I don't need to see him that much more to other kind of time. So it is really good to have that kind of connection. It's not always possible.
Check if there are questions online. Let me check.
Yes, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Jim Brown calling from Galway. First of all, good to meet you again. You remember we knew each other many years ago. Cathy
Yes,
Sethi,
I was. Yes, I was when I was visiting Ireland. Yeah.
Yes. Also, we did a joint paper together, which was quite nice, with Cathy Steck many years ago.
Right.
Anyway,
Next.
yeah. Anyway, my question. So give her my regards when you go back to Texas.
Of course.
Yeah, my question is the following. Operations research is very much, our operations management is very much a practiced activity. So can you talk a little bit about how you work with industry? I realize that American business schools, tend to be quite theoretical, quite abstract. Our colleagues in Europe and certainly in Western Europe have tended to be very oriented towards practice, and we value industrial collaboration. And I'm wondering what your thoughts on that are.
Okay, so on that front, we are not insisting on this. This is not really the part of the tenure requirement, but we have 28 faculty members who are tenure track, and there are other people who are running centers. For example, my center, I have a managing director. I'm district director, but I don't do much managing. But he goes to companies and bring projects from the companies. So that's one thing. There are faculty members who consult. We have a one day everybody can consult one day. I think it's one day a week, so you can do that. But most of the people, I think, are more, at least in our school, more research oriented. But there are enough people who do the consulting, because it's a very large school right now. So we don't. This is not. We now have a new president, by the way, and the new president is now requiring the schools to do more of that. Whatever you're saying. So there is some possibility that going further, we may be asked to put that kind of requirement also into how we promote people. But historically, what I've told you, we were not. Everybody can do this if they want to make extra money or bring problems to work on. Yes, and I don't consider it's unimportant. It is that each person can figure out what is their priorities. For example, me personally, I do not do consulting. I have enough problems to work on, but other people may want to do that. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, maybe just to respond to that, I think I would separate consulting from industrial research problems. There are lots of examples in Europe of academics working in consortia with companies to solve problems in industry and getting credit for it. I think that's the critical thing, that in our system here, certainly in Ireland and also I think wider in Europe, I think we value both we measure both the research output in terms of publications, but also the impact. And the impact tends to be in terms of industrial impact and business impact.
Yeah.
So I think it's a different approach. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm part of a consortia that Tommaso is working on. So that is an industry partnership. So I'm allowed to do what I can do, but it is left to the individual. There is no. But now I think with the new president, we may be doing something similar to what you're doing. I think it is being considered important enough, and I believe it is important. But I think it should be left to the individuals rather than in requiring you to be. Yeah. So we don't consider that in tenure, for example, but you may do that.
Yeah, we certainly do. I think in tenure in Europe, I think that's an important aspect for people involved in business and operations management and so on. Anyway, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a good presentation. Yeah. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was nice to see you again. Yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Okay. So let's go to the next part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do the next part of my presentation here. So this is a small part, but let's just do that. So I was also asked to do what's going on in terms of AI at our school. And so this is an add-on talk to that. So I would just like to say here that our school has launched a comprehensive AI strategy, which spans research and teaching and infrastructure. We have a laboratory, AI and analytics laboratory, with GPU-powered workstations that we opened in December 2024. We have a lot of courses being taught at all levels in AI, undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral level. We have a master's degree program, business analytics and artificial intelligence. We have industrial partnership driving AI research. And we have a dedicated AI page on our website. 3 program formats, and tracks include data science, data engineering, cybersecurity analytics, healthcare analytics, financial analytics, marketing analytics, and more. By the way, every area in our school is doing some AI. So I somewhere around I listed courses that OM area is teaching. We have double degrees with MBA and MS in supply chain management. 83% of placement within 90 days of graduation. Average compensation $93,000. This is for the undergraduate master student. So the lab was opened in 2024. It is by financial and digital asset technology. There is a phase 3. We have 3 phases. One phase was we moved to a new building, then we have another building, and now we have one more building coming in, which will have an additional lab space. So we grew up tremendously. When I moved there, we had no building or business school. We were just here and there. And then we had a building school and another building. And so this is the 3rd building in my own time span at UTD. I think, once again, there are cross-disciplinary courses in PhD curriculum. PhDs are now working on projects requiring GPU caliber computing power, mentioned by faculty in applied AI research. We have a weekly OM seminar at the training ground. We expose PhD students to frontier research and visiting scholarship around. Let me just go to, I think these are some of the courses that we have in operations management. So we have an applied machine learning course at the PhD level. Then we have a supply chain software, SAP planning, blockchain. These are graduate courses, supply chain strategy and AI-enabled processes, advanced AI in supply chain, AI in manufacturing. Kathy Steck, by the way, is teaching AI in manufacturing. Surprisingly, it's interesting. She did a lot of research in flexible manufacturing systems, and Professor and her and I wrote a paper on flexible manufacturing system together. Healthcare setting, AI, global statistics, and transportation, and Metin is teaching that course. Then we have undergraduate courses and spreadsheet modeling and analytics, supply chain strategies. So we have and these are only the OM courses. The list of AI courses in the entire school is quite large. I'm not sure that I have it here. So these are some of the outlines of what we do in these courses. I'm not teaching an AI course, so we are just as my research. We are recently writing a paper with one of our PhD students is actually using AI for coding for whatever we are doing. So this is the extent of AI that I was doing. And in June, I gave a keynote speech in Porto at a conference, a DSI conference, and my entire speech, I started making that speech using AI, and my speech was on AI and interface of AI with control theory, because control theory is my field, and AI and control theory are quite related. So I actually gave a keynote speech on that. So I think I think this is another. I think we already had this. This is so we have a. What I'm now showing is our drive to recruit PhD students. So we are sending this to prospective PhD students about our school and our ranking and the faculty that we have. And we told them who are the graduates that we have graduated over the years, and they have become well known in some fields. And then we tell them what we offer the PhD students. We give a competitive stipend over $3,000 a month and health insurance, and that means tuition is free as well. So it is a considerable amount of package. So this is what we told our PhD students. So I think I will stop here. If there are questions, fine. Otherwise, I think.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much.
I have some questions from the audience, online audience.
I have a curiosity more than anything.
Yes, Professor Potrandolfo from the Polytechnic University of
Thanks
Bari.
for your very interesting presentation. And you mentioned the criteria about the ranking of business schools, which I'm not familiar with. And my question is, you said that that ranking that you showed us is based on the publications.
24 journals.
Okay, but there are other criteria that contribute to the global ranking, or the ranking is only based on that criteria?
This is a research ranking only.
Okay.
It's objective. Anything other is not. So if you put other things in there, it becomes subjective. So we want an objective ranking that nobody questions. The only question you can do is why these journals and why not other journals. So anyway, these journals got chosen, and I have a feeling that these journals will stay for some time to come. Maybe someday there may be a revision of that, but revision also creates issues about how do you compare the data from the past and the future. So those are not my thing. I'm just taking the ranking as given and basing that. Yeah. And the Financial Times, they do revise their journals. There are about 50 journals, but they also have economics journals in there in the Financial Times, and also business school journals. Yeah, we don't rank IE departments. Those departments have to do their own ranking. For example, the Industrial Engineering Journal for the Society, this is not part of our ranking. We Informs is our society, and we have journals from Informs in the ranking.
Could I raise
Okay.
another question?
Please, sure.
Yeah, you have a very, very fine PhD program and clearly very fine research output. And now I'm wondering how you use the research output to inform teaching. You have an MBA program also, and I'm wondering, do you integrate the research into the teaching program? Because generally in universities we try to ensure that our teaching is research led, or at least research informed. So I'm wondering how you if you like, how you handle the challenge between teaching and research, and how you integrate them, if you can integrate them.
Yes. So we have right now our school has 28 tenure track OM faculty members, and we have about 16 basically teaching people. Their job is to teach. And so once again, some of the research we do, I don't think generally goes into the MBA teaching because they are pretty esoteric in some sense. Journals are, unless you have I mean, Kathy is doing something. I think there's a journal on Informed Journal on Education or something. There are these journals where you can publish pedagogy, and also, whatever research you do. But most journals like Management Science don't accept those kind of articles. So yeah, so I cannot say that there's a sincere effort in those people who are doing contract design, for example. They can bring in what they teach in their class, but the curriculum is sometimes they have 5 faculty members doing same course, so they have to coordinate as to what they teach in some way. So I think that may require quite a bit of planning, and I'm not aware of it.
Yeah. And is there a challenge in trying to run the school in terms of the difference between the people who teach and those who do research? Sometimes in universities we find that colleagues who are very research active maybe get much more respect and much more are more highly valued than those who are teaching. Is that a concern in terms of managing the school?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think so. In fact, at least the research people really appreciate whatever the teachers are doing. I told you my nephew is one of them. He's an adjunct professor, and we do, by the way, have a promotion criteria in teaching now. So you can be a assistant professor, exercise professor, and full professor in teaching, and their promotion requirements are different than ours. But the ranks keeps you can get your promotion in terms of rank. Yes.
That's very good. That's very good. I think that's something
we do have a minimal requirement in the sense of having 1 or 2 publications in every 3-4 years, and this list of journals for these 2 is large. It's not 24 journals. It's a very large list, and if you publish in this list, then you are. That's, I think, the requirement by ACSB.
Okay.
So we do have that requirement. Yeah, and also here's the economics of the whole thing. The dean is very happy, as far as I know, that I don't ask him to teach a summer course. Because if he's a summer course, my salary will be tied to my salary. So it's some percentage of salary, 1/9 or 1/6, I don't remember, is per course. So that is going to be very expensive. Then we have this teaching adjunct faculty. They are the second level, and when they teach a course, it's much cheaper than if a professor teaches a summer course, for example, an extra course. And then there's a third level, which is very, very economical. There are a lot of people who are working in the industry at our school. So these industry people teach. They like to teach courses, so keep in touch with academia. And I remember we used to them $5,000 a course in the old time. Now I think it's $7,000 or $8,000 a course, which is much cheaper than even the adjunct professors. So I think that enough the people teach from outside, but ASCSB makes a requirement that certain percentage have to come from within. So we cannot have if the dean has to run an economic institution, everybody will be from outside.
Yes.
The entire school can be from outside. Let them teach for $5,000 a program. You don't need a salary, you don't need a tenure, you don't need anything. But the ASCSB will say you cannot do that.
No, it's interesting. The difference in the United States and Europe is quite significant in terms of I think American universities have a much more business-like approach. I don't think it'd have the same discussion in Europe. I don't think that the dean would have the same interest or knowledge of the economics associated with courses and so on. That's my impression. Maybe Giovanni has something to say about that, but certainly in Ireland, we wouldn't.
Let me also mention.
Have. Yeah.
Let me also mention something. the PhD, United States is still the main exporter of the PhDs. I know countries like India that the supply of the PhDs that are produced within India is much less than the demand for PhDs in India. So
Yes.
they need the PhDs from elsewhere because PhD is a very expensive proposition. PhDs are, you have to pay them money for 5 years, 6 years, and whereas the MBAs give you the money in some sense. So PhD is expensive. But United States is, I think, the only country, maybe there are others, where we don't look at where you come from, how old you are, whether you are a man or woman. We don't look at any of these things when we decide who we offer the PhD admission. So we get about 100 applications every year. We choose 3 or 4, and right now, we cannot even force the PhD admission. That suppose we make an offer to somebody, we cannot force this person to accept it because there's a deadline by which they can do it, and we cannot ask them to do it before that. So all universities are required now to. So they give some incentives like, oh, we can give you some extra money. Another thing is we bring into our school to interview them so that we get to know them, they get to know us. So we are trying to create all kinds of incentives to have them accept before the deadline, but they don't have to. And so what we do is, like my school, our dean allows us to make, suppose we want 4 students, he allows us to make 6 or 7 offers. And because we lose, if somebody gets an offer from MIT, I don't think they're going to come to our school. So we are taking very high level candidates, and some of them we lose to these top schools.
Of course.
So so hopefully when we make 6 offers, maybe we can get 4. If you're very lucky, if we get more than 4 or 5, then next year we can take 1 less. So that's another way we are trying to play this game. Let's put it this way.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other question from the audience? If not, okay, I can say that we can conclude this very interesting webinar. It's the first event that we organized by the foundation. As you see, we promote and support innovative higher education and AI in industrial engineering and operational management is for sure one of the major field of our interest. So thank you, Professor Sethi, for your really inspiring presentation. Thank you all. I take the opportunity to say hello to my friend Jim Brown for is attending the question, and to you all.
Our paper with Jim Brown is one of the high flyers. We have a lot of citations in that paper.
Yeah, it was a lucky paper. Anyway. It was a lucky paper. Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for listening to this long talk. And
interesting.
So it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Is